An atomic bomb has just been dropped. Where are you? Are you at the office, examining how each coworker has their own strange walk? Are you at the park, marveling at how big that one scoop of ice cream really was that you just got? Or are you at home with your loved ones, clutching them tightly? Well, in Fallout 4, a lot of people, if they weren't doing the latter, certainly wish that they could have been. So today, I will be listing my top 5 saddest encounters in Fallout 4, and then after, maybe we'll learn a thing or two about love, family, and how you should try not to die in a funny position because people will be examining your body. Number 1, we have the Miller family, and you can find this one in a hidden bunker at Big John's Salvage. So when you go inside, you can find this: Mr. and Mrs. Miller embracing each other in their very last moments, surviving, if only briefly, off the warmth of one another. However, it doesn't stop there. Next to their bodies, you can find 2 graves, one with a baseball and mitt, the other with a teddy bear, and these are the graves of their 2 children. You see, if you read John's terminal, you learn that he was having issues with the bunker's ventilation system before the war started. Well, when the bombs fell and him and his family went inside, it seems that the hatch had become permanently closed and the ventilation completely cut off. So, from what we can see as follows, the children were the first to go, and the parents had to bury them. And then a mother and father, still mourning the death of their kids right in front of them, knew that they wouldn't have very much long either. They curled up on a mattress beside the graves and shared each other's final breaths of air. I mean, you can imagine the regret they must have felt, wishing that they had just stayed up top. All 4 of them could have been wiped out together in one fell swoop. Number 2, we have the runaway daughter, and this can be found in the ranger cabin south of Sanctuary. So when you go inside, you can find the skeleton of a dead girl beside a suitcase of clothes and a holotape, and when you play it, you learn that this girl had told her parents that she was pregnant, and they lost it. The mother was crying, she was unable to speak, and the father was so madly ashamed, and then he told her that she had to leave. She couldn't stay with them any longer. So she ran away to the cabin that she used to play in as a young girl, and what's worse is the baby's father doesn't know any of this. She never told him. It's possible that she was eventually going to seek him out for help, but we'll never know because the bombs fell while she was staying in that cabin. A teenage girl carrying an unborn child dying alone in a dirty cabin in the woods. Her final thoughts, that of her parents' massive disappointment in her, and her child's father completely unaware that any of it ever happened. Number 3, we have the story of Arlen Glass, and you can learn this during the quest Giddy Up and Go. Now, essentially, Arlen was a toy designer at Wilson Adamatoys. In fact, he was the inventor of the Giddy Up Buttercup. Thing is, his work consumed him. He was at the office all the time trying to make ends meet, and it got so bad that he would hardly ever see his family. Even when his own daughter came to his workplace just to see him, he forgot she was there and never came down to get her. And all those extra hours, they didn't even help because he still ended up getting fired. So as he was at the office begging to get his job back, that is when the bombs fell. He rushed back to his house frantically, only to find his wife and daughter now replaced with a giant crater. In absolute despair, he collapsed, and when he woke up, he had been transformed into a ghoul. And ever since then, he has lived alone, haunted by that fact that he wasn't spending time with a family that he would never again be able to see. And then, just to add to that extra bite, you can return a holotape to him from his daughter, and it's her saying just how much she loves him, misses him, and can't wait for him to come home. Number 4, we have Edwin's home, and this can be found at the Chestnut Hillock Reservoir. And if you read Edwin's journal, which can be found inside the terminal, you'll learn the story of him and his wife, Annika. See, 10 years ago, Edwin stumbled upon this very house, only to find the barrel of a shotgun glaring in his face, and it was held by Annika. Well, instead of pulling the trigger, the two fell madly in love and would spend the next 7 years happily with one another. Thing is, one day, she finally passed away, and all he had to remember her by was her locket. So since then, he'd been settling alone with just a Brahmin named Bess, who he'd been looking after, especially since an increase of bloatflies had been trying to attack her. Well, one day when he was out in the pond fishing, a swarm of these bloatflies attacked, forcing him to do everything he could just to get back to shore. But in the commotion, he dropped Annika's locket at the bottom of the lake. The last photo memory he had of her, the only tangible possession still keeping her close to his heart. And without that, life simply would not be worth living. So he dives into the radiation-filled water in this brave attempt to get it back. And if you go in yourself, you'll find the remains of his body. He never made it back up. But clutched in his hand is his wife's old locket. He died with her right by his side. And now, far beyond the bloatflies, far beyond all the radiation, they have been reunited. And number 5, we have the separated family, and their story can be found in a cellar called the Backyard Bunker at the West Everett Estates. So for this one, a man named Wayne Turnquist and his two sons, Michael and David, they retreated into their own home bunker when the bombs fell. But the mother, Bonnie, see, she was a nurse working at the Mass Bay Medical Center and died before she was able to get back. And this just destroyed Wayne. He spent months hoping, praying that she might come back, but all they could do was just wait and see what happens. So eventually, Wayne and the rest of his neighbors got around to reinforcing the estates with proper defenses, but because of that, it didn't take very long for a group of raiders to catch the scent and then attack. And in the chaos, Wayne and his sons were forced to flee the area. So at this point, Wayne's journal entries, they've ended, and you're wishing that the three of them got away safely. But if you head toward the National Guard training yard, you can find several skeletons scattered on a rock. So I couldn't find any specific evidence suggesting that these belong to them. I mean, it could have been their neighbors, maybe instead. But the way I see it is this. All evidence of their lives ended after that attack, right? Nowhere else in the Commonwealth can you find a journal entry by Wayne again. So I find it very likely that him and his boys had been gunned down as they were running away. So I saved this one for last because of how painful their last moments are. Unlike the others, it's not the bombs that take them or the radiation that takes them. It's other people murdering them out in the open. They spent that long surviving, perhaps now they're going to try and find a way to see if the mother is still alive, and then all of their efforts come to an end, not because of the mass crisis that seems to be affecting, the majority of people right now, and of course I mean all the radiation, but because someone else decided that they shouldn't be allowed to continue. And maybe, just maybe, the three of them could have survived the war. And there you have it, my top 5 saddest encounters in Fallout 4. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and down below please tell me, where do you think you would be in the event of an atom bomb being dropped? Alright, thank you very much for watching, and, now I think I've got some phone calls to make. If these events taught me anything at all, there's one place I'm certain I would want to be in the case of nuclear fallout. Hey, Mom. Dad.